Oh, we should have brought a Aloha shirt for you.
No, we should not have.
That would have been perfect.
Can't stand you.
I'm Blake. I'm from Ohio. Went to school, undergrad in southern tip of Ohio. Then I moved to St. Louis chiropractic school. And then from there, came out here, and now I'm living in Hawaii.
My name is Dr. Sean Davis. I grew up in Utah. Kind of bounced around a lot after that. I've lived in Southern California. I've lived in North Carolina. Lived in Texas before eventually making it out here. Wasn't always planning on being a chiropractor. Kind of an interesting story. I was more physical therapy focused at the beginning and kind of found my way into chiropractic, and I've loved it ever since, especially once I've kind of discovered the Gonstead method. And that's just kind of what I've been about ever since then. I work at Cornerstone Eva. I've been there for just over a year now. That's how long I've been in Hawaii. I got here August of 2022.
I've been here since May this year, so about 6-7 months. Right now I'm working in Eva Beach at Cornerstone, but I'm going to be going over to Kailua whenever it opens up in the next couple months. It's fun. He's a good person to learn from, and it's definitely a lot of fun poking fun at him sometimes and mocking him a little bit, but it's been good. It's been good.
I find I'm often the butt of office jokes. I haven't figured out why yet. I'm going to say it's because I'm fun, but working with Dr. Blake's great. I love having somebody who I can kind of bounce ideas off of, or even if I feel like I need help with something, I can say, hey, Dr. Blake, look at this with me, and he can kind of critique me a little bit. Just the act of teaching somebody something you already know kind of helps reinforce it in yourself. So it's always good to be, especially as a chiropractor where it's a profession where we use our hands so much and constantly critiquing our technique and trying to get better. It's always good to be reteaching that process over and over to somebody, because it helps just refine you as well and makes your skills a little bit sharper.
The worst team out there? Can you explain that?
Okay, my fantasy football team. Okay, we're gonna go way back. Beginning of football season, Dr. Blake sends me a text and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be on our fantasy football league?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Why not? I like football. I'm not by any means a fantasy football guru or anything like that, but I like it." So I created a team and I called them the Land Crabs. Blake created a team. He calls them the Hammerheads. And since then, the Land Crabs have absolutely dominated the Hammerheads at every turn.
But they're slowly spiraling down.
What are you talking? I won last week. What are you talking about? I just guaranteed my spot. What are your odds to get in the playoffs again, Blake?
0%.
Yeah, what are mine?
I don't know.
100 is the answer. 100. I'm already locked in the playoffs. What happens the rest of the regular season means nothing. We're here for playoffs now.
Prior to the draft, I'm sure you were doing a lot of research.
No, I didn't. And here's what happened is I tried to throw you a life raft halfway through the season with some trades. You rejected it, and you went on to continue to lose games. So I don't even know why you're upset at me about this when I tried to help you.
I know that was a mistake.
The Land Crabs are so stacked that even my bench outscores you, and I tried to help you.
This is not how I thought it'd go.
I do feel like I am provoked. I am provoked into this, but I've always been competitive by nature. To me, it makes things more fun. I'm not trying to do it to be a jerk, but to me, it's just more fun if you're trying. So even when it comes to fantasy football, I'm going for that top spot.
He's gonna lose that first round though.
We'll see about that.
I ran cross country and track, and then I also did baseball too. But going into high school, track kind of took over that.
I switched a lot. Starting out when I was really young, I played a lot of soccer, kind of got in some soccer leagues, and then I grew out of it, started playing typical football and basketball. Played most of those, did wrestling, did long distance track, did rugby, and then I even got into like softball and baseball actually after high school. I didn't like those ones during, but after, those have been probably my favorite since, and baseball is my favorite sport since then. I find athletes are actually a really tough population to work with sometimes. They are your worst patients. They don't really like to follow recommendations. Them and other healthcare professionals, they kind of all think they know better than you. And that's good because you don't ever have to worry about them not putting in effort. My goal is not to get them off the couch. My goal is to get them to relax a little bit, and that can be a different role to play. I have the privilege of working with a lot of bodybuilders, and it's really similar with them. They kind of have a mentality of, if something's not working, we just have to keep pushing through it, and that tends to make injuries worse. And that can be a really hard mindset to deal with. So honestly, not that I dislike working with them, but they're probably not my favorite population to work with.
I would say I really like working with runners, just because being a runner my whole life, I know the battles of injuries and different things that you struggle with and that set you back. But I'm with Dr. Sean with knowing, being an athlete, I know if someone tells me you have to sit out a couple of weeks, I'm more than likely not going to sit out a couple of weeks, because I'm just going to push myself and I'll be like, I'll get over this. But yeah, definitely agree with that. Oh, I like the older ladies, just because I've got this charm that I just can't turn off for some reason. And I just feel like it's really easy to talk to them, and sometimes they bring you food.
I work with this man every day. Every day. You'd think he's not like this. He is.
But really, I like working with the older generation and runners, just because they're looking to get better, and they're looking for more natural ways to get better and to stay moving. So yeah,
I actually agree with him. Working with older populations, especially the females who have been just working their whole life. They were kind of that generation where they were the house mom who took care of all the kids and never took time for themselves. Seeing them make progress towards feeling better after dealing with pain for so long is such a cool feeling. And you can just tell every single visit is exciting for them and fun for them. And they know that they're going to get a little bit better afterwards, or whatever the case is. And they're seeing their progress. And that's really the first time in their life I feel like someone's kind of been in their corner rooting for them. They are the most rewarding population for me. Typically, I'd say low back pain is everybody. Every single population suffers from low back pain, regardless of your profession or physical abilities or fitness. Everybody has issues with low back pain. But if they were a desk worker, you're expecting a lot of neck issues, a lot of mid-back issues. If they were always running around picking up kids, you're expecting a lot more low back, maybe a lot of emphasis on that. So it depends a lot a bit on their stresses they've put themselves through up to that point. But things like low back pain, sciatica, neck pain, even radiating down into the hands, really common symptoms I would expect in those populations.
Yeah, I would say like outside of pain too, they're wanting to continue moving. And so when they start to notice that they're slowing down, or they can't do the things that they used to really like doing, and they come into the office, and then after a few visits or a few adjustments, they're able to start to see improvement, then I can see that their eyes light up and they're happy that they're able to do what they used to be able to do.
Yeah, energy and attitude. That was a great point. Just non-pain symptoms, energy and attitude especially. There's been so many patients who come in and one of their biggest complaints is how they deal with their family because they're in pain. I know when I'm in pain, I'm a jerk to be around. I don't want to be around people, and I don't want people to have to deal with me. But the reality is if you're a family man and you got to take care of kids and your back hurts or anything like that, you have a very different attitude and affect just in general. Have to is a strong word. Technically, we do not have to, but the whole point is we aren't doing minimal effort. We're doing everything we can to be as precise as possible. The more precision we can have with an adjustment, the more specific we can be, the better the results. We can definitely adjust over clothing, and we don't need to use x-rays, but the fact that we do the scoping, we do the x-rays, and we do the skin-on-skin analysis and adjustments allows us to take that care to a much higher level you'll typically see somewhere that doesn't do those things.
Skin is the largest organ of our body too. And so just by being able to see the skin, we can see different signs of inflammation or signs that point to specific areas in our spine that need to be addressed too. And then we can also feel inflammation in the spine too, which will point us in the direction of where we need to check out and dig deeper into. So it's a a big part of what we do is we need to be able to see and feel the skin too.
To me, it's the difference between a shotgun approach and a sniper rifle. If you're trying to hit a target 20 feet out, shotgun's probably a good way to do it. If you're trying to deal with a very specific problem that's very far out, that needs a very specific approach, you're wanting something that is not just going to be hitting every single joint you have and praying that was the right direction, praying that was the right bone, praying that was the right joint that you needed to move. In order to make sure that we're having the highest impact with as minimal forces as possible, you can actually make joints worse by adjusting joints that do not need to be adjusted. That's a very not understood concept by the general public. A chiropractor can make a joint worse by adjusting it. You need to know how the joint is fixated, how it's rotated, any sort of anything like that to actually give a correction that is going to give a benefit to that joint. And that's our goal with it, is to try to give you that best possible result at that specific section. We don't need to hit every joint in the spine. Every joint in the spine, just because it makes a popping sound, doesn't mean it needs to be adjusted.
People like the crack, and it looks real fancy and it sounds real cool when we're videoing it. And if we manipulate or crack everything up and down the spine, 80% of the time that's going to work, because you're obviously going to hit that one area that needs it. But in order to be more specific, you have to be more confident in yourself, knowing that you are where you need to be. That's what we do. We know our analysis is super thorough, super specific, so we don't need to adjust everything and hope that we hit it, the area that needs to be adjusted. We just know that we're on that right spot and we're going to take care of the problem. Gonstead Chiropractic is a super thorough analysis in detecting where there is nerve interference in the spine. And with that analysis, then we can deliver super specific and precise adjustments and restore that motion into the segment, and also restore the function to the nerve, to its end organ or tissue, so it can function the way that it's supposed to.
I would just say Gonstead is an excellent way to maximize your potential, whether that's being there for your kids or performing an athletic event or just doing your job. It gives you the opportunity to make sure you're functioning at the highest possible level so that you're able to do that at your highest capacity. Well, you own an iPhone, right?
We do have an old man over here. Oh boy, I've seen this before.
I have not.
Two chiropractors that got each other's backs.
Huh.
These are two people who,
Vertebros.
if they made it through a chiropractic program, they don't remember the anatomy, or they just choose to ignore it, one of the two. It doesn't make sense to do a long axis distraction based on the ligaments and the formation of the neck. The structures there are never the issue that you're having the restriction at. Sounds fun, I guess. Personally, I see that and I think absolutely no way, never. But I get why someone might think that's appealing or think that's for them. But it just really doesn't make any sense anatomically for what you're trying to achieve with an adjustment.
I just cringe at this because, yeah, they're making a lot of sounds and it sounds cool, but they're working with the nervous system, and that could have a lot of negative effects after that.
Huh.
Vertebras. Pretty clever though.
Vertebros.
Vertebros.
That doesn't.
You love your job, don't
does
you?
not make sense.
Yeah,
These
I
are
do.
kind of what I expect TikTok videos of chiropractors to look like. I feel like this is the
Crack addict.
epitome of what I would expect if I pulled up chiropractic on some sort of social media.
In chiropractors.
And that actually is really frustrating to me as someone who feels like there's so much more chiropractic can offer people than just in a satisfying sound. There's life changes that can occur due to chiropractic. If you're really doing an in-depth analysis, you have to be able to know what the person's real issue is, and you have to be able to know how to correct it. And everything I just saw is just, I would call it fluff. That's something I feel like you could teach somebody else how to do in a matter of like 10 to 15 minutes, and they could go out and call themselves a chiropractor and do that to everybody and think that they're a chiropractor at that point. And it's a really frustrating idea to overcome that as somebody who's trying to be more.
Is this what you follow?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Unsubscribe. Just don't. Okay, it kind of looks like he's trying to do
I
Gonstead
don't think she's
now.
gotten a massage in years.
That is not.
That is definitely not.
Jeez, God.
I was like, you're quiet after that
So
one.
I don't know if it
It's
was
gonna be
for the same for you, but going through school when you first started and you were doing these, or not necessarily this, but supines, and getting a lot, you were like, oh, that was really good. And then the further you went through school, it's like, no, that wasn't good enough. I need to get one. I just need to get one good set. And then you were like, oh, that was too much.
My first thought on this is what it looks like. I don't know this gentleman, but this looks like a chiropractic student rather than someone who's really spent a lot of time trying to master an adjustment. That looks like what we did to try to learn how to adjust on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a pleasant experience as a patient.
I can't really say much for
I
dog
heard that
or
one
animal
too.
chiropractic. Their anatomy's pretty much the same, but I don't know.
I'm not a
Got it.
professional animal chiropractor either, but I actually
Got
feel
it.
like animal chiropractic is
Got it.
underutilized.
One more.
A lot of people
Got it.
should
Got
probably
it.
take their pets to a chiropractor. But when it comes to adjusting the animals, I do feel like they go with a lot of what we call long lever or non-specific adjustments when it comes to animals, and they could try to fine-tune that. And I think that's an area where there's a lot of potential area for growth as chiropractors to do a better job, but really underutilized area as well. It's kind of newer, and I think that there's a lot of cool benefits that could come from that.
People pay a ton of money to get their animals chiropractic care.
I would pay more money for my animal than myself.
Hey, I know this guy.
I have petitioned several times for us to go take our adjusting equipment out to the beach, and nobody ever listens to me.
So he's a really good Gonstead doc, but if he had the actual chair, it would be so much better.
He's improvising on the beach, but yeah.
It's all about the trust. There it is.
I feel like if you asked that gentleman what he adjusted, I don't think he'd be able to tell you,
He's been needing that for 40
other
years.
than say everything.
Right, 40, longer than that.
You ready to be a
If your
TikTok
chiropractor
sensation,
can't tell
man?
you what specifically they're trying to do, that's not a good sign.
Just let it go.
So this goes back to the
Just
skin
gotta
on
get a little
skin.
motion here.
He doesn't know what segment.
Yeah.
He's getting multiple segments, and then he's just walking all the way down the spine.
Actually
basically.
pretty damn good.
Yeah, I feel like sports chiropractors have a really interesting reputation where they gain a lot of clout, or just, what's the word I'm looking for? Authority in a chiropractic space because they have celebrity patients. But whenever I watch the treatments they give, I'm always very underwhelmed by them, especially the adjusting. I can tell you, I take care of way too many people who injure themselves with do-it-yourself chiropractic. There's a lot of stretches and positive things you can do, exercises to take care of yourself and put yourself in a better position. But when it comes to actually moving the joints, you leave it to a professional.
Even the foam roller too.
So many times.
I've been very uncareful with the foam roller and have accidentally adjusted multiple segments, and I do not feel good afterwards.
Yeah, foam rollers a lot of people have a very unhealthy relationship with foam rollers. People think that because there's sound, it's a good thing. And yeah, like I said earlier, you can adjust any segment of the spine. That doesn't mean it needed to. Foam rollers are in no way specific to whatever problem you're having. There's a lot of areas of the spine that you don't really want to push in the direction. Foam roller can only go one way, and that's going to be from back to forward, that you don't necessarily want to go that way. If you have excess curve in your low back already and you're in there foam rolling it out, you're just pushing that curve even further. You shouldn't be there. And you don't know that unless you have an x-ray of your spine. Mm-hmm. But it's just a very, again, non-specific approach. And you might be able to take care of some problems with that. You also might create a lot of problems with that.
All right, so you sell me packages, but do I need that many visits?
Excellent question. Excellent question. It depends on what your goals are. What we specialize in is foundational correction, which is a long-term fix. If your goal is just to get out of pain, realistically, depending on what your problem is, you'll be out of pain before you finish your visits. Average person probably finishes up with pain or has that down to a manageable level before they finish visits. But if the only indicator you're going off of for your health is your pain, and you're not taking into account the fact that the x-rays are telling you this and the scope's telling us this and our palpation's telling us this, then you can expect to be coming back to us and using the remainder of those visits probably within the next month, or whenever you start to feel pain come back. And we can play that game with you all day and keep you floating right above the pain line, or you can actually try to get real results. This is a game, not a game, but just a dance I do with patients a lot, where they start to go, I'm feeling better, I don't need to come in, right? And I say, I'm so happy you're feeling better. Maybe we can reduce the frequency. But my goal here wasn't to get you out of pain. My goal was to correct the x-ray as much as possible, to get that as optimal as possible so that we don't have this coming back again, and that we are living in a way that is better for the curves of our spine and our discs rather than just keeping them out of pain.
I'll add on to that too. Pain is usually the last thing to show up that there's something wrong going on, but the first thing to go away. All right, what are your medical credentials?
I have a doctorate of chiropractic, as well as a license in the state of Hawaii. I have a master's of functional nutrition, a bachelor's in anatomy, a bachelor's in exercise science, and a bachelor's in public health.
I have a doctorate of chiropractic and a bachelor's of exercise science and a minor in business management.
Wow. What a guy.
Your title is doctor, but you don't work at a hospital.
I think this is an interesting thing. When I was in chiropractic school, I had no intention of being called doctor when I got out. I have no issues with chiropractors who choose not to call themselves doctor. I do feel like it does set the tone, though, that you are somebody who is an authority on the spine, is an authority on what you do. And so I feel like it's a good idea to have that tone set in the office of, you aren't coming to us just hoping we know what we do. You're coming to us because you know that we're the people you want to be with, and who can figure out what's going on and fix the problem. And I don't have a problem if a patient just comes in and calls me Sean. It doesn't hurt my feelings, but I would rather you call me Dr. Sean. I worked for the title, and this is a doctor-patient relationship. I'm treating you actively, and you are a patient there. So I prefer to, I will introduce myself as Dr. Sean, but my feelings aren't hurt if somebody doesn't call me doctor.
I like it. I like being called doctor. It reinforces the hard work that you put in, years and years and years of education. And you have to establish that doctor-patient relationship if they're going to trust you and you're going to trust them.
I remember the first time I got out of school and someone called me Dr. Sean when I was officially a doctor. It like intimidated me for a while. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of weight that comes with this. And I didn't know that I felt ready for it. But after a while, you settle in the nerves and you become that person. And I prefer it.
Why don't you accept insurance?
Love that question too. To me, the main reason we don't accept insurance, and to the company, we don't like insurance companies dictating our care. And I can do a whole spiel about the medical system and everything flawed, and I don't really, that's not my goal. But if somebody else is telling us how we have to dictate your care, then I'm not giving you my true best recommendation. Oftentimes, insurance companies are very focused on pain. They're much less focused about how good of an expression you can be. They don't really care about how much you're sleeping at night. They don't really care about your attitude or your relationship with your family, as long as that pain level gets down to a tolerable level. My goal is not just to get people out of pain, it's to get them to the highest expression of themselves, which involves a lot more than just pain. So that's why we don't work in network with insurance companies. Otherwise, our goal would just be pain management, and that's not what we do.
I'm buying your services. Why do you say invest?
That is intentional that we say invest, because it is not just a purchase into yourself. It is an investment into yourself. It's an investment into you trying to change your life for the better. Think of it like you would an investment with money. The money and work, if I put money in an investment account now, I can expect that 10 years down from the road, I will have some sort of benefit from that. And it's the same thing here now. The money and effort you put in now, you'll be rewarded for down the road with that interest when you're able to still go do the activities you want to do. And everyone else your age is going, I can't go golf anymore, or I can't chase my kids anymore. It is an investment in your future. It's not just money down right there. And if you have an investment mindset, you're going to approach it the same way, where it's not just, oh, I'm going to put this money there and leave it. This is something I actively need to watch grow. It's something I need to cultivate, kind of like you would if you're growing a plant. You don't just put it in a pot and say, okay, I'm done. You have to water it every day. You have to invest that time, invest those resources, get the soil, get the water, get the plant food, give it sunlight in order to see that really grow.
I don't even have to say anything. You're hitting everything. Your beginner package is almost $1,000 a month. Do I really need care?
In my opinion, everyone needs a chiropractor. Again, a lot of it depends on what you're trying to do. If your goal is just, I want to get out of pain, then perhaps we may not be the best clinic for you. But if your goal is, I want to stay out of pain, this isn't something I want to come back. I've been having low back pain for 10 years and I've tried everything under the sun. I've tried chiropractic, I've tried acupuncture. Then yes, I would absolutely say you need care. And even further than that, if you're someone who's just looking at the future going, I want to be able to play with my grandkids and go play on the beach with them, then yes, you do need care, because it's not going to happen by accident.
I would say not everyone needs to be adjusted, but everyone needs to be checked for nerve interference. But if you're not stressed and you don't have any stressors in your life, then you don't need.
I'm trying to find the person who has no stressors in their life still.
Recession is here. Why are you so expensive?
I think you get what you pay for a lot when it comes to healthcare. And that makes sense to us in every other aspect. If you want the best dentist, you're not going to pay for the same dentist that is in the hole in the wall down the street. If you want the best surgeon, you're not going to pay you would for the same surgeon who's doing surgery out of his basement. It's not that much different with chiropractic. You're getting what you pay for. Oftentimes insurances are not going to give you the best doctors. And I'm not saying I'm the best chiropractor on the island, but I think with what I practice, I'm up there. And that's why we're expensive, is you are getting a level of care you will not get at other offices.
Also, we've went through years of learning and refining our skills to know exactly where we need to adjust. And with all that work, we may be seeing you for 3 minutes, but it's taken several years to get to the point in order to find it, fix it, and then leave it alone. What's the difference between you and a physical trainer?
Typically, a physical trainer will focus more on muscle side of things, imbalances, weaknesses, tightness. That's kind of more of their function. And while we do dabble in exercises a little bit, we clearly emphasize the adjustment. That's what we do. Our goal is to restore motion into joints and get the joints functioning properly. I always like to think about your health as an overall pie or piece of pizza. Neither one of them is particularly healthy, but a section of that pie is going to be the muscles and the soft tissue. A section of that pie is going to be things like diet and nutrition. A section of that pie is going to be your nerves and your joints. If you're missing an entire section of that joint with something like chiropractic, or if you're not doing exercises or stretches or something like that, your expression can never be that whole 100% of that pie. So you need to make sure you're dabbling in all of those. And that doesn't mean you need to be seeing a physical trainer and seeing a chiropractor and seeing an acupuncturist and seeing a dietitian. But it does mean that you need to be getting something in all of those. But it just so happens that when it comes to the joints and the nerves, chiropractic is very, very niche in that. It's almost impossible to do by yourself. Like I said, I see so many people who injure themselves trying to do it themselves, chiropractic. And really the only answer in that area is chiropractic itself. I would just say, Thank you, Blake. I very much look forward to Dr. Blake being able to go out to Kailua and see the work he's going to be able to do out there. I'm very excited to see the expansion of Cornerstone into Kailua and the energy and just being able to bring those services to the people of Kailua who don't currently experience the difference of Cornerstone or have never been to a chiropractor before. I'm really excited to see Dr. Blake go out there. And in the meantime, we're still doing it in Eva and just happy to be here and happy to have the support and love from the community that we do and happy to make the impact that we do.
Super excited to get out to Kailua. I am going to miss being in Eva and just shadowing Dr. Sean whenever I can, learning from him, refining our skills. I've had the chance to shadow a lot of docs while I've been home officeless. But with Dr. Sean, I feel like I'm going to take the most out of his interaction with patients and kind of spin them off into my own. So it's been great, and I'm super excited to see what's in the future.
Go Land Crabs.
Go Hammerheads. Dang it, you stole it. I was going to say that.